Every picture tells a story, of course. So I thought I would explain the story behind the picture that you can see behind me. So we have this city, and within this city, there's a small hidden venue, only known to a few people. And the place was called the Life and Soul. It's the place that's called the Life and Soul. And it was famous for fairly enigmatic performances. And once a month, this guy, the silent guy, would come onto the stage wearing always red trousers and a purple shirt. He had yellow braces, and he sits on this wooden chair, and there's always balloons above his head. And he sits on the chair, and despite the fact that the whole place looks very festive, the atmosphere is always very melancholic. Now the odd thing is that he never speaks. He's never spoken a word, and yet just him being on the stage was really compelling. So every performance that he did, he would sit in silence, his head bowed, his hands resting on his knees. And the audience who came along, there was a mixture of some new people and obviously some regulars, and they all watched in sort of hushed anticipation of what was going to happen. And there was some kind of strange magic in the air and some unspoken connection that held everyone transfixed. So one evening, the show begins, the usual quietness all comes over the audience, and he comes onto the stage and he sits in his seat. But this time there was something that seemed a bit different. The room seemed colder for a start, and the colours of the balloons which were overhead were much more muted than usual. And his head lifted a little bit, and for the first time ever he made eye contact with the audience. And his eyes were filled with a deep sadness, some kind of story that had not been told. And as the time ticked by, the silence grew heavier and heavier and almost unbearable. And then without warning, he stands up, and everyone gasps. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a small worn notebook. So he opens the notebook and he begins to turn the pages very slowly. Each one of the pages has got some kind of intricate drawing and some scribbled notes. And of course everyone's trying to see what exactly is on the pages of this little notebook. So he stops on one page and he holds the notebook up for everyone to see. And it was a simple sketch of a family, a father, a mother and a child all smiling together. And his hands are trembling as he's closing the notebook, and he placed it on the chair. And then he took off his braces, the yellow braces, and he draped them over the chair. And then he took off his shirt and put that on the chair, and then the trousers also. So he's standing there just in his undershirt and his pants, and he looked incredibly vulnerable, more vulnerable than ever. And as he turned to leave the stage, a voice suddenly broke the silence, and it was a child's voice coming right from the back of the room, and it's saying, "Papa, Papa," and it sounded like it was filled with hope and confusion. So the guy on the stage, he froze, and then the crowd parted, they separated, and there at the back of the room was a small boy, his eyes wide open, with recognition, and he was crying, tears streaming down his face. So the guy on the stage, his stoic and somewhat dour facade sort of crumbled, and he rushed towards the boy, and he grabbed him and scooped him up in his arms, and the whole room started applauding, and cheers mixed with sobs of joy from the audience. And so then we learn what the actual truth is. This was a guy who'd lost his family, and he'd been wandering ever since, searching for a way to reconnect with the life and the soul that he'd lost. And that performance, that night, was his final act. And he found his voice through the presence of his son. And together they walked out the venue into a future that held promise of healing and reunion. And weirdly enough, the Life and Soul Club closed its doors that night because its purpose had been fulfilled. And those that actually witnessed the event carried the story with them, a testament to the enduring power of love and the unexpected ways it can manifest even in the quietest of places. So I hope that explains something behind this somewhat strange print.